All right, y'all, let's just jump in. Real quickly, I want to introduce myself. I'm Alex. As you can probably hear and tell, I'm recovering from being sick. I don't know if everyone else is just trying to fight germs or trying to get over being sick, but we're okay and I'm feeling good. I hope everyone else is healthy. I am one of the dietitians at Clean Health. Kalina Health is, again, like you had said, an online telehealth nutrition company. And what I get to do and have the pleasure of doing is working with a wide variety of patient populations. And so this is just some of my patient populations from women's health to prevention of chronic disease, sustainable weight loss to establishing healthy habits. So today's webinar of how to set sustainable goals is my bread and butter. It's my passion. So I hope that you find it helpful because this conversation is complex and fully loaded and fully charged. So I hope that it's helpful. And if you have questions, let's continue this conversation. And so let's jump into a little quick overview for what we're going to talk about today. I want to have a brief discussion using our chat here in a little bit like about yo-yo diets. What are yo-yo diets? What have you tried in the past? What hasn't worked? What worked? So we're going to do that. We're also then going to talk about the effect yo-yo dieting has on our body and our mind. We're going to talk about maybe the impact it will have, but also the benefits of setting sustainable goals can have on your body and your mind. So we're going to talk about both. We're also going to talk about some barriers that people face when trying to set sustainable goals and also some tips for continuing to be successful. Lastly, I'm going to teach you, okay, how to do it, how to put it into practice. And so we're going to walk through an activity on how to set sustainable goals and what that will look like for you. Okay, so using our chat feature, I don't know where you are in this country. If you're on a train, you're on a plane, you're listening to me while you're at work. If you are able to, I'd love to know in the chat, what are yo-yo diets to you? Like when you think about a yo-yo diet, maybe you think about what you've tried in the past. Drop it in the chat. I'm going to read out a few of the answers. When I think of like what are yo-yo diets, maybe is it something that you do for a short period of time? Is it something that you've you've tried it's maybe like a quick way to lose weight, um, but shortly stops? Maybe a yo-yo diet is following like a trend or something that we see that's a fad that's going on, a fad diet, a fad certain which food group are we mad at this week that we shouldn't eat? Oh yeah, an example, maybe the keto diet is a yo-yo diet. No, thank you so much. You guys are all right. All right. So if we think about another way that we can maybe start wrapping our mind around it, I want to know what tends to be the thing that keeps you from continuing maybe these diets that we're talking about. So is it the straw that breaks the camel's back? Is it a barrier in your specific life that maybe keeps you from continuing these diets that we're talking about? When you think about it, what tends to be your reason for yourself? What tends to be your specific reason? Yeah. Someone said they lose motivation or the diet is too restrictive. Does anyone ever feel like, okay, I can do this, but then my kid has a birthday party, or I can do this, but I have a work dinner, or I can do this and I'm traveling, or I can do this, but then I break my foot. What do I do? Yeah, exactly. Someone said major events, weddings, vacations, work schedules, holidays. So, what do they expect? You to do a fad diet but not live your life? Okay, yeah, there's definitely an option out there where sometimes depending on what's going on in our world, maybe we want to focus on saving money and there's other options out there that maybe are a little bit more unhealthy and that sometimes puts us towards or leans us towards that option. There's nothing wrong with wanting to save money, but definitely can be something that maybe can keep you from continuing. No, thank you for participating. Okay, So I want to start talking about the potential effects yo-yo dieting can have on the body. I read through some of the responses and the questions that were filled out during registration, so it sounds like some of you all know and understand maybe the impact yo-yo dieting can have. I really want to highlight the first bullet point and the third bullet point. So when we rapidly lose weight or we rapidly change a certain behavior, whether that's exclusion of a certain macronutrient, for example, like cut out all carbs, or we rapidly increase exercise, that is stress on our body. And what that can do is cause a really rapid weight loss period. Now, like we just said, it's very hard to sustain. So as soon as we stop that rapid increase in that behavior change, our body wants to kind of go back because that was stressful. So you can see these rapid weight loss and these gains back and forth. What that can do in our body physiologically is have an impact on our metabolic rate. So everyone has a base metabolic rate. It's the energy we burn sitting here talking during this webinar. Yes, you're burning calories talking to me. But what that can do is have an impact where it decreases it. So when someone says they have a slow metabolism, it's lowering that metabolic rate. And we want to be careful not to mess with that. And so yo-yo dieting can truly have an impact over time on our metabolic rate. Another big point that I want to drive home is this impact on our relationship with food. And so yo-yo dieting back and forth is something else dieting telling you what to do, telling you what to eat, telling you when you should eat, telling you what you should eat, how much you should eat. And you never get to be in the driver's seat of your life. You never get to be in the driver's seat of your relationship with food. So what that does is it perpetuates this ongoing cycle that you never get the time to practice it or develop your own relationship with it. And so these are some of the effects of yo-yo dieting that I see in my clinical practice. Now I want to talk about the benefits of setting sustainable goals. That's why we're all here. We need to start talking about what it would look like to start setting slow and small sustainable goals that build upon each other. Now, here are some of the outcomes I see in my patient populations when people start setting sustainable goals. People experience increased energy. They experience an improvement in their hunger and fullness cues. Like I said, if you haven't ever been in the driver's seat of your own personal body relationship with food, it starts to feel really freeing to start to feel like, oh, I'm honoring my hunger and I'm respecting my fullness. And I feel like I have the control, the capacity, and the freedom to do so. A lot of people experience this increase in muscle growth and strength because of the consistency they've been able to maintain these habits. And some of my patients experience improvement in GI discomfort. So, a lot of times, yo yo dieting can have an impact on our digestion. So, these are some of my favorites. Another common one that I really like talking about is this improvement in blood work and blood pressure. So, these are some of the common benefits. Now, we talked about barriers a little bit in the beginning of our session today, but these are some of the other common barriers that I see in my clinical practice. So, a lot of times when you're setting a goal, there's a reason why you want to set the goal. You have certain long term goals, you have certain expectations for yourself. And so, sometimes if you're using the scale as a marker of progress, and you don't see it move, you don't see that progress. It can feel frustrating. It can feel like, why am I doing this? And sometimes the scale can almost keep you from continuing those actions and those habits. And so if you're someone that has a hard time or maybe more of an emotional time weighing yourself or seeing those fluctuations, I tell you that you need to take a break. And what you need to do is you need to start setting other non-scale goals. We can not only use the scale, we have to use non-scale goals as a marker of success or marker of progress. Meaning, how's my energy today? How am I feeling? How are my clothes fitting? Have I gotten my labs done? Have I gotten my blood pressure done in 3 to 6 months? And have I seen changes? Or you look at your relationship with food and you realize, man, the scale might not be going down as fast as I think it should, but I feel like I've been in control of my cravings and I've been in control of my eating. I feel like I've been eating consistently and I'm proud of that. That's a marker of progress. So if the scale is keeping you from achieving sustainable change, you need to take a break. Another common barrier to continuing with sustainable habits are unforeseen barriers. And so maybe it's something, for example, such as like Valentine's is coming up and I love candy. But if this time in the season of life right now feels like a little bit more charged, like you feel like you're seeing candy, you're hearing candy, you realize like should I have it, should I not have it? Understanding that that could be a potential barrier for you of that feeling a little bit more present in your mind, the cravings being a little bit higher, that's anticipating a setback. So I would recommend looking ahead at your schedule, looking ahead at your life. Maybe that's having a work dinner coming up. Understanding and knowing your flow is important to preventing maybe something from setting you back. Understanding your routine. Another part of setting sustainable goals and working through those barriers is understanding what is working well. So, for example, let's say you have a work dinner and you've been working on a certain habit, for example, eating consistently. Understanding and giving yourself kudos that you have been doing well, you have been eating consistently. And for that work dinner, you're going to prioritize eating lunch consistently and having a snack before you go is motivation that that work dinner isn't setting you back. And so let's go into a little bit more tips. So, to address some of these common barriers, I truly recommend building in some form of support system. If you have nobody else in your life and your dog or your cat has to be your support system, I love it. I do not discriminate. I'm a cat mom. I want to be a dog mom one day. That's okay. But maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a neighbor. You're not meant to do it alone. At the same time as you're not meant to do it alone, you have to stop comparing. And I would recommend telling yourself if someone is calorie counting, it doesn't mean that you have to calorie count. If someone is excluding a certain food group, doesn't mean you have to exclude a certain food group. Asking yourself, what works best for me to sustainably create change? We're in it for the long term. We're in it for the long haul. Sustainable change takes time. It's not a fad diet. And so asking yourself what works best for me and how do I almost keep those horse blinders on to focus on my road while still having the support that I need. And your relationship with food. So this is a big, big topic. I truly believe if your relationship with food is never addressed, it can be the thing that keeps people from making sustainable change. So I put some examples here. So if you find yourself eating out of certain emotions, then what we would recommend doing with a work with the dietitian is starting to increase non-scale or non-food related comfort tools. Meaning, is that going to make a cup of tea? Is that going to call a friend? Is that going for a walk? Is that taking a hot bath? Another idea, working on your relationship with food. So let's say eating past your fullness cues is a barrier for making progress. Well, are you eating enough throughout the day? Are you eating really fast? And so looking at your relationship with food can almost help to address future barriers to come. All right. I just talked to you for a little bit. Now we can kind of put it into practice. So again, wherever you are right now, if it's you need to pull up the notes app on your phone, you want to grab a piece of paper, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Get something where you can do a brain dump on. Okay. So what I want you to do is at the top of your notes or at the top of your paper, I want you to ask yourself, what is your why? Meaning outside of weight, outside of changes in your body, what do you want to see? What do you want to feel? What do you want to change about your lifestyle habits? What do you want to change about your nutrition, your exercise, your sleep, your stress? Figuring out what is your why outside of a number, outside of a body image, like stance or example, is super helpful for sustainability. And so write that at the top. Now, as we move on, if you want to keep writing or reflecting, please continue to do so. Okay, now I want to go on to a little bit more reflection. So, underneath your why, I want you to ask yourself, when I have tried yo yo diets in the past, what worked, but also what was hard? And maybe that ties into what kept you from continuing this fad diet. So, maybe it was a life event, maybe it was finances, maybe it was the restriction or the motivation. Understanding that for yourself is super important because we're going to help then to address that as we move forward. Underneath that reflection, I want you to pick one lifestyle topic. So, this is where it starts to feel uncomfortable. Again, this idea of setting sustainable goals and change in habits is really uncomfortable and hard and complex. And again, you're not meant to do it alone. So, I want you to pick one topic. And people are like, "What, Alex? I'm not supposed to work on all of them at all at the same time?" No, we're picking one. Nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, risky behaviors, for example, are like alcohol consumption, tobacco use. So we established your why, you reflected on your past, you're picking one topic. So if everyone has their topic, we're going to dive deeper. Now, I want you to break it down even further. So you chose one topic. Underneath that one topic, if we're setting a sustainable goal, I want you to analyze your life, your workflow, your schedule, your family demands, and how would you improve that specific topic? So I put some of my favorite examples here. So let's say, for example, you want to focus on your sleep health. Sleep is incredible. It's the time that our brain needs to restore and regenerate for the day. Let's say, for example, you want to start practicing limiting your screens at least in half an hour or half an hour increments before you go to bed. Or let's say you pick nutrition and your one goal that you broke down even further is you want to increase vegetables in your meals. This feels really uncomfortable because, again, you're breaking it down into one thing, one topic versus hitting all of the areas right now. Now I know we're going fast, but I hope some people wrote down some of their topics. Okay. Now you're like, "All right, Alex, I have this in front of me. What do I do?" So, what you're going to do is you're going to practice this specific topic broken down. Let's say it's eating consistently or adding vegetables to your meals. You're going to practice that at least 2 to 3 times a week. And what you need to do is I would recommend keeping your progress somewhere visible. So I know when my gym was going to give me a gold sticker to show up, I went more consistently to go get the gold sticker. So if you're someone that likes to have paper visuals, get a paper calendar for yourself. You can Google 30-day calendar, print off that sheet, put it in front of your laptop, put it on a sticky note, or keep it on your phone calendar. And what you want to do is you want to track when you're doing those specific goals 2 to 3 times a week. That's going to help your brain start to receive evidence that it's possible to remain consistent. Again, this is hard. We have to rewire our brain from years of chronic dieting and chronic fad dieting. If you're an online or tech person or you're on the go, I love habit tracker apps. So I believe maybe it's like Habit Share, or there's a ton of habit tracker apps I love. And you can set specific days of the week that you want to achieve certain habits. And then you just check it off on the days that you do it. So you do it 2 to 3 times a week. You track your progress. At the end of the week, I want you to reflect back on what you've done. So I want you to reflect, okay, I did this 2 times this week. I'm still making progress. The third time was hard because I have X, Y, and Z. You then implement new strategies and anticipate those barriers for the next week. If you're starting to feel confident that you've done those specific habits 2 to 3 times a week for at least 3 to 4 weeks. So I would not recommend adding one more thing until you've done it at least 3 to 4 weeks to then add one more thing. Because again, we're in it for the long term. I want you in this for over 6 months, over a year. And so once you feel like you've been consistently hitting that goal, eating consistently at least 2 to 3 times a week for at least 3 to 4 weeks, you can add one new topic. So, what that would look like is going back from the top. So, choosing one of those lifestyle topics, breaking it down further into a very sustainable, measurable goal action plan, and then working your way through that. So, let's say I was eating consistently 2 to 3 times a week for 3 to 4 weeks, and now I want to move on to exercise. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one cardio day at least once a week for 3 to 4 weeks. So, I'm going to eat consistently and add a cardio day. Again, I'm going to try that cardio day for 3 to 4 weeks before I add something else. So, it's a stepwise fashion where you're measuring your progress each week, continuing to evaluate how you're doing, and then moving forward. And I had to say here, it is truly crucial and really, really helpful if you were to add a dietitian to your team so that they can also help and partner with you on how to even wrap your brain around this further and what it would look like specifically for you. Now, I also want to add this here and talk about this real quickly. I'm going to pull up this article. Now, I was able to collaborate with our team here at Kalina on writing this article. What it's super, super helpful to point out. I know it talks about weight loss, but there's some incredible gems written into this article right here on how to even communicate with your partner to support them on sustainable goals. The key thing here that I want to point out is asking what your partner needs from you to support you, how they want you to support them, and then affirming them how they're doing. Meaning, not about their body, not about the progress you see in their body, but affirming them that their habits are what's doing it. Their habits are what is what's supporting them. And so you'll have this link here embedded into the deck. If you're ever curious about, hey, how do I support my partner in also doing this? How do I support my friend in doing this? And lastly, again, I know I mentioned having a dietitian would help you, but even more so if you're someone that wants specific nutrition targets. Let's say you're someone that likes more of a prescriptive plan. Tell me how many calories I should be eating. Tell me what snacks would best fuel me. Tell me how to build balanced meals. That's what a dietitian can do for you working together. Again, we're not someone that's going to be like, here, go do this, bye. We're someone that's going to walk with you like a partnership to help develop further sustainable goals and habits. So we're there for you and sustainable goal setting for you, not compared to others. And so I dropped a link into the deck if you want to go ahead and schedule yourself an initial session, or you're welcome to email me with any questions or any help getting you scheduled. Awesome. Okay. I know I walked through a lot with you, but I'd love to hear from you or see if you guys have any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. While we're waiting for questions to come in, maybe I can kick us off with some questions that we saw in the RSVPs. One question that came through was about uh, eating between meals or snacking throughout the day. Um, any thoughts on that?
For sure. Um, I will say eat when you're hungry. So fad diets tell you, hey, you should only eat 3 meals a day. You should eat 6 small meals a day. You should only eat 4 hours throughout the day. If you're someone that find yourself hungry throughout the day, make a balanced snack. For example, have a source of protein with a carb, have a source of healthy fat with a carb. So if you're hungry throughout the day, you need to eat. If you're not hungry in the day, you need to ask yourself, well, why am I craving food? And maybe that's a reflection of your relationship with food that can be worked on further with a dietitian.
We have a question about protein consumption.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? And also, how much protein is enough for women in menopause and also just in other kind of stages of life?
Yeah, protein is the hot topic right now. So I love protein because I call it part of the three amigos. Protein, fat, and fiber all help to make you feel full, satisfied, and help balance your blood sugar. Now, how much is so specific to your current activity rate, your muscle mass, where you are in life. And so I would definitely ask your dietitian, someone further, specific targets. What I will say is per meal, roughly, I like to recommend 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal and roughly around 10, 15 grams of protein per snack. So if you want specific targets, I would dive deeper and further with another dietitian at Kalina, or if you want to work with me. But per meal and snack, you want to have protein present, whether you're in any stage of your life, any hormonal stage of your life or women's health stage of your life.
We have some questions about weighing yourself and relationship with the scale. Do you have any thoughts on how often you should weigh yourself or how to have a healthy relationship with weighing yourself even when you feel like you're doing well overall?
Yeah. So if you want to use the scale as a marker of progress, I would tell yourself you want to use it as data. So you're collecting trends because the scale and your weight can change so often, plus or minus 5 pounds, plus or minus 5 pounds. And you're going to be like, what the heck? But what I would recommend doing is if you are going to use the scale, once or twice a week, weighing yourself, collecting it as a data point, and trending it over time. So looking at the month trend, looking at 6 week trends, 8 week trends. And if you also are going to use the scale, you have to have other non-scale goals as markers of progress and to help with encouragement. So again, if you're going to use a scale, also set markers of progress for your energy levels. Set markers of progress for how you're doing with your strength training. Did you go from 10 pounds to 15-pound dumbbells? How are you doing in your sleep? Are you sleeping better? What that's going to do is also give you more encouragement to continue. We're in it for the long haul for sustainable change and for lifestyle changes to help see the outcomes that you want. So if the scale is going to be frustrating for you, take a zoom out, trend the data, but also use non-scale focused goals, meaning markers of progress that don't relate to the scale as well to encourage yourself.
Great. And then I think as a last question, um, what is your recommended caloric intake per day? And do people need to count calories?
Yeah, it's so complex. So, your calorie needs are based on, of course, your height, your weight, your activity factors, any chronic illnesses, any inflammation. So, what that means is everyone needs different energy, everyone needs different calories in the day. So again, working with a personalized dietitian, they can give you those specific targets if you ask them. And they are the trusted source, not Google, not some app. And so you want to make sure that you're getting it from the right source of how many calories you should be eating. If anyone ever tells you to eat 1,200 calories, please run away from them. And so that's one idea, how much you should be eating. And if you should be tracking your calories, again, reflecting on who am I, meaning, would that benefit me in my past? Do I feel like I get obsessive with it? Does it keep me from making progress? Does it make me feel like I'm going to get burnt out? If you're someone that is going to feel burnt out or feel frustrated, maybe take pictures of your food. Maybe you don't need to at all. Maybe you need to focus on, again, something related to your nutrition, like adding vegetables to your eating, eating more consistently, adding protein to your meals. That's going to help you to achieve your goals, whether or not you're calorie counting or not.
All right, we're a little bit over time, so I wanted to be respectful of all your time today. And thank you so much for joining our webinar. If you click on that link that I put in the chat, you can take the survey and give us some feedback, and hopefully we can create more helpful content for you in the future. Thank you so much, Alex, for your time.
Thank you, everyone. I
Thanks
hope to
everyone for
hear from you.
coming.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.